and emotional elements of money and the impact that money has on every area of your life. I'm Austin Black, a personal finance coach that helps couples overcome their fear and frustration of financial management so they can take complete control of their money. What started as a desire to learn the fundamentals of money management has turned into a passion for helping couples work together to achieve financial success and strengthen their relationship with each other. Whether you're looking for the best strategies to manage your money as a couple, or you're tired of struggling to gain traction and want to overcome the fear and frustration associated with finances, I'm here to help, and this show is for you. Ready to learn more? Then let's talk about the heart of money. Hey folks, welcome back to the Heart of Money, episode 113. I'm your host, Austin Black, and I'm joined by Mr. Roberto Weslero. How are you this evening, my friend?
Hola, mi amigo.
Yo no hablo español.
Sí. ¿Usted?
Hey.
Okay. So that was our Spanish segment.
We should have like that automated recording of you calling to someone and it has the English and the Spanish version of the same thing. No offense to the Spanish speaking listeners out there, but
and that's how you derail a starting conversation. Anyway, we're back.
That's just your job.
That's my job. And I get paid ransomly. Good Lord. KFC masterpiece.
This is what happens when you record at 8 o'clock at night, just so y'all know.
Yeah. It's not that late, but, it's close enough. And
Close enough. Close enough. It's been a Monday on a Tuesday. That's all I can say.
Yeah, most of my days feel like a Tuesday anyway. Going back to the days with getting my certifications.
Yeah, you just go back to work instead. Things are a lot better whenever you're at work.
Yeah.
Well, last episode, we continued to harp on folks for what they kept blaming their own failures for. That sounds like a bad way to put it, but it's the honest reality. This week, we're going to present the positive outlook and give you tangible steps for what has to happen, what has to change about you for you to win with money. And I want folks to get excited about this episode. We're excited for one thing, but I want folks to get excited because we talk a lot about how hard it can be, how folks need to change the way that they do everything, how they need to change the way that they need to think, all these different pieces. The bottom line is if you want success to happen, you're going to be willing to put in the work and make the changes and embrace the opportunity that comes, but it doesn't come easy. So I want today's conversation to be honest about this is what does have to happen and what does have to change about you, but also empowering, and this is what you get to do to change and to win and to have that success. Because these are these are things that anybody can do. And I kind of want to sit on that for a minute. These are things that anybody can do. This is not a show and an episode that is exclusive to people that have lots of money and lots of time and lots of knowledge and lots of luck. Now, that is definitely a part of the audience that we work with and that we cater to and that we want to resonate with. But just because you don't make $100,000 a year and are a financial guru, that doesn't mean that you can't implement these practices at any level and achieve financial success. So we're going to be talking about these at a high level, and I want folks to just understand that no matter what your income level is, the more you make, the easier it can be to achieve success. Capital letters CAN does not guarantee your success and does not mean that you will not face challenges and struggles. And the flip side of things, if you don't make a lot of money, it doesn't mean that you can't achieve success. Capital CANT. because you still have the same opportunity if you're willing to put in the same amount of work and effort and be motivated by that. That's my entry level soapbox, Bob. What do you have to add before we jump into these practical strategies?
I was going to say C to go with that Spanish Inquisition that we started with, but anyway, um, yeah, I hope our listeners have pen and paper or something to be taking some notes on this episode because these are all very good points and they're all things that somebody can take away and do something with. Um, Preferably, they don't write it all down and throw it in the trash, but that's an option, and that'd be right up there with what we talked about in the last episode of all the things that it's somebody else's fault. But I would hope that our listeners would dig into this one and put something of all these points into use, even starting today or definitely by tomorrow.
Yep, absolutely. Well, the first strategy, or what has to change about you, is your relationship with money. That sounds like a um, head in the clouds type of, philosophy. Your relationship with money, kind of like a what's the word I'm trying to think of? Do you know where I'm going with this?
Yeah, and I was going to say ethereal, but ethereal is not the right word. It's more benign than that. But I think when you say your relationship with money, really it's more of how you think about money.
Mm-hmm.
That
Absolutely,
that might get
yes.
somebody out of the clouds with that. Does that help?
There you go. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, out of the clouds back to earth to facing the reality that your relationship with money has to change. Yes, the relationship with money is how you think about money, how you use money, how you view money. Does money make you scared? Does it make you anxious? Does it make you fearful? Does it make you excited and positive and enlightened and encouraged? Those are all things that go into your relationship with money. And the biggest element that has an impact upon this is, do you have a positive or a negative view of money? That sets the stage for your relationship with it. A lot of people have a negative view of money and they wonder why they can't get ahead.
Well, I'm going to stop you right there and say, what do you mean by a positive or negative view of money? Because we're going to get into money as a tool,
Mm-hmm.
but a positive or negative relationship maybe with money. Can you dive into that some?
You bet. So, a positive view of money essentially, well, it'd be easier to explain if I start with the negative. Negative view of money puts money in control and you at the mercy of money because you don't understand its proper role in your life. You feel like money is something that there will never be enough of, that um, that is evil in some capacities, or that you shouldn't have a lot of. Negative view of money positions money as the bad thing,
Okay.
the thing that I don't understand. Therefore, I have a negative relationship with how I treat money. So the flip side of that, then a positive view of money, is seeing money as something that can be useful, something that you are in control of, something that brings opportunity, and something that comes in abundance, something that, given the right understanding and skill set, can be a very valuable asset for you to continue to get more of so you can do better things. Is that a good explanation?
I think so.
Now, where were you going with that question?
Well, I was going with the whole fact of a positive versus a negative outlook on money and what to give our listeners just an idea of what that means other than just saying, "Oh yeah, money's positive," or "Ooh, money's negative," or
Yeah.
money good, money bad. You know,
Me more money.
yeah. what what is it about the money that makes it good or bad, and how do we view it? So I that was really was where I was going with that is it, it's a piece of paper
Hmm.
or some filament thereof of paper and cloth and whatever to make it a bill, or it's just a number on a screen if you go digital. But the whole idea is where you're going with it is how it affects your how you look at that as a positive or negative.
Absolutely. And I think there's a lot to be said about the fact that it is a either physical thing that you hold in your hand, whether it be cash, coin, or check. Check isn't technically money, but it's the same principle and concept. And even like you said, those numbers on a screen. How many people are so afraid to look at a budget because they don't understand what the numbers tell them? They don't have a good grasp on, is this good or bad, or how do I manage this, or this is scary, I don't understand, I'm not good at math. It's just numbers. It's not even the actual money, it's just the concept
Mm-hmm.
of money. And one of the biggest things that where we have to separate positive from negative in what your relationship consists of, if you have a positive view of money, you're going to be naturally more inclined to receive an abundance of financial success or an abundance of ability to manage money. It's going to be something that does not have a limit to it. Now, is it going to be completely unlimited? No, it's still based upon your ability, but a positive view automatically opens the door to more opportunity, more abundance, more financial security, more financial success. With a negative view, your relationship is going to be limited to what you feel you can accomplish, and you don't feel you can accomplish a lot. That's the bottom line with that.
Yeah, and I think this one, the concept of your relationship with money tends to be more is touchy feely, even really the way to put it, because saying that there is an abundance aspect to it, um, it gets to where it feels very head in the clouds.
Mm-hmm.
And if I say just the right things, money will come to me. That's not what we're talking about. The
Right.
idea is that if I have a positive view of money and how I use money, my habits with money are going to allow me to make more money, allow me to spend money in a certain way, allow me to save money because I have a positive view of what money is supposed to do.
Absolutely. Very well said.
So it's not the idea of, oh, if I just say the right things or if I think positively about money, I'll have more. No, it's the idea of because of the way you think about transactions and what money is supposed to be used for. Um, we've got all these points, and I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but I want to say that if you worked hard to provide income, to create income, to have money, that's your money. That's
Mm-hmm.
nobody else's money. It's your choice as to where that money goes. And I think a negative relationship with money says that money shows up and that money's gone because I just can't hold on to money. And,
Mm-hmm.
and that goes against what we talk about and the positive view. You're not going to have abundance, you're going to have scarcity because the money's in control versus you being in control of your money.
Absolutely. And the reality is, whenever you have a healthy, positive relationship with money, you don't see it as the thing in your life that controls what you can and can't do.
Yeah.
You see it as the tool that you can use to achieve success, that creates opportunity. It is the, I said tool earlier, but it is the ways and means to achieve the life that you want. in a plain nutshell. I mean, the economy is what drives the world. The economy is based on money. It is the living, breathing, without actually being alive thing that makes this world go round. And whenever you have a positive view and your relationship is positive, you see money as something that you now have the opportunity to make good decisions with.
Yeah, I think the key word is opportunity.
Yes, exactly. And by doing so, the more you do it, the more confidence that you get because you begin making the right decisions because you have a positive relationship. And all of a sudden, you're now no longer as fearful and as frustrated by your inability to succeed. You are actually achieving success because you have a confidence in making the right decisions based upon your relationship with money, which is driven by an abundance mindset. Did I sum that up good enough, you feel?
Yeah, I think the one piece that I would add is it becomes a lifestyle. Is that you don't have
Yes.
to think about it, you don't have to dwell on it. You have created a lifestyle that lends itself to a positive attitude, to positive habits, to um, dare I say a growth mindset. That there are your limiting factors. You have said that's not the way I'm going to live. That's not the way I'm going to choose to spend my money. I'm in charge. I'm determining how I spend, and so it becomes again, like we said last one, that it becomes cyclical, and you've learned how to handle money better than you did before.
Yep, absolutely. Bob, what is point number two of what has to change about you to win with money?
Your belief in yourself, that guy in the mirror or gal in the mirror.
That goofy looking monkey I see every morning?
No, no, no. That's out your window. No, no. I didn't realize you had so many monkeys on your farm.
Anyway,
It's a monkey farm.
some days it feels like it.
Somebody else's circus, preferably. But
Well, we talked about this a lot in the last episode. Your past does not dictate your future.
yeah,
You are not held captive to what has happened before, who you were when you were born, and where you came from, and how your parents might have maybe messed some things up for you. Not to throw shots, but your past. It doesn't mean that just where you're going to stay. Your future is where you're headed, and your belief in yourself is a key component of that.
yeah. And we've got some notes here that you say no one makes you do anything you're not willing to do. And I'm gonna go back to our first point on that is depending on your situation, depending on where you are in this process, there may be things that you don't want to do but you have to do. That may be the whole reason that you are moving out of this situation.
Hmm.
That says I'm not going to be here anymore. And when you start, I think both of these points that we'll cover could be issues at the start of the journey, but are things that are very much um, springboards to moving you out of that mindset.
Absolutely. Yeah, no one makes you do anything you're not willing to do. When you are committed to the result and to the process, and you believe in yourself and your ability to do that, then no one can make you change your mind and do something that you're not willing to do.
They can try. They can try.
What's that?
I said they can try.
They can try their hardest. And you'll have people that try really hard because it doesn't make sense to them. They think it's foolish. They think it's dumb. They think you should go have fun and not be financially responsible because that's what they've done and they can't see it happening any other way in their life.
And I will tell you,
Wait, did I step on toes with that?
well, I'm going to say that in some situations you might go along with it, and then you'll realize after the fact, boy, I shouldn't have done that. Or, man, that was dumb. And you realize I'm not doing that again. So it's part of the process.
Hmm. And it's interesting how many people have an opinion of what you're doing with your money when they don't know what they're doing with their own money.
I'm sure just about everybody that you would talk to or has an heir that sees what you're doing, or I think it really goes back to our last episode about those that pull you down.
Hmm.
You got to find people that are willing to cheer you on or want to see you succeed, and not lend an ear. Don't listen to the people that are trying to keep you stuck or don't want you out of the situation, because then they feel bad or they look bad, or you're not hanging around them anymore because they're making poor choices.
Hmm.
And it almost sounds cliche, but there's some truth to it.
And what continues to humor me, and this can be a touchy subject for people to talk about out in public, when you manage your money the right way, you will stand out
Mm-hmm.
because you are in a, I don't want to say minority necessarily, but there's more people that are not going to be managing their money the same way than those that are managing their money the same way. And it's always interesting. You will receive more comments and more feedback and more unsolicited opinions from people when you are managing your money the right way than you will when you are doing the exact same thing as them. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
yeah, and I think it depends on how public you are with your choices, and again, who you're hanging around. Um,
Well, for example, if you know that a brand new car, if you are not financially independent enough to afford that, that a brand new car is a detriment to your financial success,
mhm.
or even a slightly used car, especially a car that you have that you owe money on, is a detriment to your financial success in some capacity. So instead of having a new car or a relatively new car, you have a 10 or 15 or 20-year-old car like you and I do, Bob. And that car works just fine and runs and drives and doesn't depreciate very much at all. And you either paid cash for it or you have paid it off a long time ago. And you know that you are in a good spot financially for a vehicle in your stage in life. Your friend, on the other hand, they're the same age as you, probably have relatively the same income level, same values, same whatever. And they have a car that's about 15 years newer than yours. Now, you aren't going to go ask them if they have a loan on that car or if they bought it in cash. It's none of your business, and they're not going to tell you
They
anyway.
might.
They
They
might.
might.
They might. Probably not, but they might. But I can almost promise you that more times than not, they will have a comment about your car. Why is that?
you know, I I'm going to go to being a car guy and living in the audit world and what they call the red flags, that somebody driving a brand new vehicle
Mm-hmm.
is in the corporate world a lifestyle flag
Mm-hmm.
depending on the profession. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember the joke. It wasn't a joke, it was actually a memo that went to somebody that worked in a certain corporation that said that their vehicle was not up to snuff, that there was a parking lot audit. And usually in the world of audit, when somebody does a parking lot audit, it's to see who's driving what. And somebody making 60,000 with a brand new Mercedes, something doesn't look right. But this is
Mm-hmm.
somebody that has their 1990 Toyota Corolla, and it just didn't fit in with the other vehicles in the parking lot, and they advised them to get a new vehicle because of
Uh-huh.
the status that it did not acquire. But it was just kind of it's interesting to me. Yeah, I'll go into the school parking lot and the giant, God, they get bigger and bigger GMCs and
Mhm.
all the different
Now,
SUVs.
I should say there's a caveat to my comment, my statement there, and this is probably where I have some personal um, conflict in this whole conversation. So, my wife and I, our most recent vehicle we bought was a 2019. My rule of thumb is I will not buy a car any newer than 5 years because at that point they should have lost majority of their depreciation and they're not going to drop as fast from there on out. So you can usually get them at a better price and not lose as much money on the depreciation, et cetera, et cetera. So we bought this car um, last year. We've had it right almost a year now, 2019 model. We paid cash for it. We've been saving up for several years, and we went out and we bought it in cash. It is by far the nicest vehicle I have owned to date. It cost more than I have ever spent on a vehicle to date. And I still wonder what people who don't know me think about me when I get out of that car.
And it's a 2019.
It's a
You
2019.
poor guy.
It's a 6-year-old car. But for me to know the process that I went through to acquire that vehicle and what my mindset, my mentality is around finances and buying a vehicle, I know what it means to me. It is not a status symbol, it's a financially smart
Mm-hmm.
decision that we needed a bigger, nicer vehicle. It's been a huge blessing to my family. But I know that there are some folks that they would have gone out and they would have borrowed a vast majority of the money to buy that same car, new or used, either one. And so I had this personal conflict that I run through of okay, I don't want people to think of me the way that they would think of someone else who did borrow the money for that vehicle. Is that making sense? Kind of where I'm going?
Yeah, and then I think that fits into your beliefs
Mm-hmm.
and being concerned on what other people think of what you're driving, what you're wearing, or what you're not wearing, or what brand it is,
Right.
because that is a huge part of our society. And we talked about instant gratification and where brands don't really matter, but in certain circles they do. Again, the people you
Mm-hmm.
hang out with. Um, but yeah, I can understand that with vehicles especially. Um, but anything new, I think of all the electronics that go into it, and I don't want to worry about it, or pay for it,
Yep.
or cover it for
Yeah.
insurance, or have it hijacked by somebody on their smartphone.
Yep. Well, the bottom line with this whole your belief in yourself concept, I'm sure everyone has heard this quote. This is probably one of my most favorite quotes ever from Henry Ford. If you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
And I'm amused that we tie up this section that you finally got the right Ford attributed to the quote, and that it's an automobile guy, all in the same thing.
Not playing, but it worked out that way, didn't it? But because this is a quote that I still am learning, Bob.
Mm-hmm.
This is a quote that I think everyone is continuing to learn. And it is the quote that I feel like, as simple as it is the ultimate truth when it comes to your ability to change and to become what you need to become to win with money. I always say that this is so true because if you think you can't, you're never going to try. And if you think you can, nothing's going to stop you from accomplishing it.
Yeah.
But gosh, how many times do we sabotage our own self because we don't believe that quote?
Or even if somebody says, I don't think I can. Or to put it to the negative, I can't, but I'm going to try. It's self defeating in and of itself because then you go, oh, I knew I couldn't, but I tried. Well, how hard do you try if you're already capping your belief?
Hmm.
I mean, you're proving yourself right by your thought process, your
Absolutely.
mindset. How many times have we talked about this?
Yes. The podcast should be called "Your Mindset on Money."
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, and we could spend an entire episode just on this one quote because of the power and the implication. And honestly, I am mesmerized by the fact that Henry Ford lived decades ago. I have read the book about the um, what Ford went through in the whole decades long growth that they experienced and changing everything with the economy. And the mindset of that entire family was very unique. But it mesmerizes me that someone that long ago had the intuition to say something so simple and yet so profound that we are still learning how to embody that and live it out.
Yep.
I mean, that's just it's one of those everlasting quotes that you can say it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, but do you believe it?
Yeah, or you have an epiphany that of what it means. Or you're in a
Mm-hmm.
situation and you go, "Oh yeah." You put two and two together and it makes sense
Mm-hmm.
because it is applicable to almost everything.
Exactly. And in this case, it is the caveat to the whole concept of your belief in yourself.
Yep.
If you believe in yourself, what's going to stop you from winning with money?
And I think it's a great segue to the next point of your commitment to success. That your belief in yourself, coupled with your ability to think you can or think you can't, that by saying I can, we'll go to the little engine that could,
Mm-hmm.
improves your commitment to success or improves your ability to succeed.
Absolutely. And this is, I think, where change is easy to start. It may not be easy to continue, but your commitment to success isn't a one time decision.
Right.
Happens every single day of every single month of every single year. You have to continually make the commitment and make the decision to continue to make the decision and make the commitment and continue on that path. And there's a reason that we say that financial success isn't a sprint. It's a dab blame marathon that you're going to run the rest of your
Yeah.
life.
With incremental wins that might
Yes.
happen today or might happen 5 years from now, depending on what it is.
And so if you stop before you get to the first milestone, where have you gotten? Well, I ran. Who brags about running a quarter of a marathon?
I would. I personally, I would. Just me.
Who cares if you ran a quarter of a marathon, Bob? Maybe that's the better question. Who cares if you ran a quarter of a
I do.
marathon?
I don't run unless something's chasing me. But I'm taking away from
But
your
if
example. So,
you finish a half marathon or a full marathon, okay, that's something to talk about because now you have actually completed the journey that you set out to complete. You didn't stop halfway through and go, "Ah, this is too hard. No one's even gonna. They're all ahead of me. I'm gonna be the last one to cross the line. Go give me a Coke."
yeah, and I'm thinking if I ran a quarter of a marathon, that would be like that'd be 2 5Ks, right? That'd be like a personal
I don't
best
know.
for me. But anyway,
You mean a 401k?
yeah, I got one of those too. You made a comment about change and making changes and how often we can make a change. I think every time we have a choice, we can make a change.
Hmm.
And we can change a whole bunch. We can make a whole bunch of changes and get nowhere. And we can make that first choice
You can change your change too many
too many
times.
times that you have not endured long enough for the change to make a change. If we can use the same word in a sentence without having to spell it or
Mhm.
define it.
Without defining it with the same word.
But just the whole idea that I'm going to make a choice. In this choice, I'm going to choose to make a change.
Hmm.
And the next difficulty that comes along, I'm going to stick with that choice instead of changing it again.
Hmm.
Because you make
Yeah.
enough changes, you just get back to where you were or backwards.
Indecisiveness is one of the greatest cripplers to accomplishing anything.
Because it in and of itself is a choice.
Exactly. You're choosing to not make a choice, which means you will never achieve the success that you were hoping that you might achieve someday.
I hope
That's it.
I hope our listeners slow that part down and try to write all that out because it is profound. It's true. It's kind of silly to say it, but it is definitely true that you have to commit.
Hmm. And I think why it's so hard is we want to see results.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to do something for a long time and not know that it's anything's happening. There's a reason that we don't like watching water boil. There's a reason we don't like watching paint dry. There's a reason we don't like watching grass grow. It is boring. But what happens the moment that water starts to bubble and that paint is finally dry and that grass has grown for 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 days?
Then you got to mow it again. But who watches paint dry? Seriously. Come on. Let's go back to the water analogy. Let's go back to the water analogy, and we can do this either at either end. We can do it because we talked about atomic habits before, and we'll get to talking about
Yep.
atomic habits again. But there's a whole lot of change you don't see with boiling water and melting ice. And if you go read, our listeners read Atomic Habits, you'll understand that, at 96 degrees, the water's warm, but you're not seeing anything.
Hmm.
97, 98, 99, water's getting warmer, but you're still not seeing any change. But when it hits 100 degrees, that water starts bubbling. The same way on the other end of the spectrum, and maybe I need to stick with the zero if we go Celsius versus Fahrenheit here, because we're not doing 32 and what, 251? Um, but at zero, anything below zero, you're not going to see any change in that ice cube, sublimation aside. But
Hmm.
you get to zero, and not even zero, but you get to 1 degree, and you start to see change. But there's a whole lot of degrees before it starts melting, or a whole lot of degrees before you start boiling, that you don't see any effect, and that's the hard part.
Hmm. And to that point, we say that it's boring to watch those things happen, but when they do happen, all of a sudden you now have a new opportunity. Once that paint is dry, you have a beautiful building that looks brand spanking new, even though the paint's dry. Once that grass grows up, you now have a nice, beautiful yard that you do have to go mow again at some point, but it looks really pretty when the cows are out grazing it.
I'm going to go back
And,
to the water. Your painting
then once
grass.
you
Jeez.
have a boiling pot of water, you can finally start cooking. You can finally start um, doing whatever you got to do with boiling water. I don't know what you do
Well,
with boiling water half
I
the
would
time.
say that you start to at that point that you start to see change in water. You've built momentum.
Hmm.
When you get to 100 degrees, 101 is a lot faster to get to. 102 is a lot faster to get to because those molecules are moving around a lot faster,
Hmm.
and it can keep going. The same way with melting an ice cube. That ice cube is going to melt faster because it's already started the process, and you're seeing the results, and it's building momentum to where you just have water. So paint
Yeah.
dry, paint dry. Come on, is that really?
Well, a couple things that I kind of want to highlight in this strategy. So we said that the success is a sprint or is a marathon, not a sprint, and that it's can be kind of boring to go for a seeming long time and not really see the results, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, now we have arrived. But there's a reason that compound interest is the eighth greatest wonder in the world. Because if you stay committed for a long period of time, you experience a massive amount of change. You experience a massive amount of growth. That's not going to happen in the first year. It's not going to happen in 5 years. It may not even happen in 2 years. It might take you 20, 30, 40 years to get to that end goal that you set out. But guess what? In 20, 30, 40 years, you are going to have a level of financial success that when you first started out, you could only dream about the chance of having it. And because you stayed committed for years on the same process and you made that choice day in and day out, now you get to see the results. Same thing we said on Atomic Habits. That 1% improvement every single day is over 365% better results in a year's time, which I think is a hard thing to actually measure, but the principle is there. Drastic change, drastic growth, drastic results because of commitment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as you're talking about the compound interest, one of the groups that I work with, we talked about somebody getting $1 million or getting 1 penny compounding daily for 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
And you would not think about it, but that 1 penny compounded daily over 30 days ends up being $5,368,709.12. And it all starts with a penny.
We need that 12 cents.
Yeah. You don't really need that 12 if you got 5,368,709. You could even give up the $9.12 or even the $709.12.
You could give up the other 700 or however many thousand.
Yeah.
You still got 5 million. It's wild. And I think the thing that I want to the most tangible piece that I can leave people with as they start out on this journey and as they commit to success is realizing that it's not all going to happen at once. It's not all going to happen right away. It's going to be a process. And that's why whenever, Bob, you and I tell folks as they're just starting out with their budgeting, give it 3 months.
Yeah.
It's going to take 3 months to get everything kind of worked out, get everything ironed out, get your new numbers in there. And we don't say that because your finances are going to change during that time. We don't say that because you're going to go make a lot more money. We don't say that because you're going to pay down a lot of debt. We don't say that even because you're going to cut your expenses in half and your budget's not even going to be right in 3 months. That's not why we say it. We say it because you will change how you manage your money over the course of those 3 months.
Yep.
So the budget that you start out with is not the same budget that you will continue to use because you will modify and adjust how you budget to accommodate the budget that you actually want to have.
Yeah, it's a learning process, and it's one of those that, depending on where you start, your concept of money to begin with, those numbers could be completely foreign. But as we've talked about before, you've got to start somewhere, and you get those numbers on paper, or on a spreadsheet, or in an app, and you start working with them, and you see where either you're coming out ahead or coming in behind, or way overspending. I'm going to go back to the group that I work with. That a lot of these guys have never budgeted before in their life, let alone even kept track of where they spent money, and it's completely eye-opening for them to see where their money goes once they start tracking it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happens with a budget is you realize, oh, and we talked about food. Oh, we set aside this much money for food this month, and you know what? It actually is costing us $150 more. Why in the world is it costing $150 more? Well, here's why. And where are you going to take that from? Well, we're going to have to either shop differently, off-brand. We're not going to go out to eat as much. And you have to tweak. And I think 3 months is a good baseline, but I think there are people that could take longer and some that may take shorter, but 3 is about the average.
Right. Yeah, it seems to kind of be that sweet spot where are you going to have it perfect? No. But is it going to be finessed enough that you can be comfortable saying this is our goal
Yeah.
for the month? We feel confident with what our income actually is, and we feel confident in knowing where we need to be allocating our money, what expenses are, what our expenses are going to be, how much debt we need to pay off. All of those details have been kind of worked out, and once you get to 3 months, you got all the pieces
Yeah.
to make a good budget.
You've got a
Now, is that
baseline.
budget going to change and evolve? Yes, it's going to always be that living, breathing management plan that you have to modify and adjust and stay in control of. But you at least now have a workable budget, not a guess budget.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's some of the things that go into that without having an entirely new conversation just on budgeting is knowing what your parameters are and knowing where you should be on how you spend your money. And the great thing is you get to choose the majority of that. Or you get to choose how you don't want to spend it in the future and what you need to do to start working towards that now.
Exactly. All right, so just we kind of wrap things up, the 3 strategies that have to change about you for you to win with money is your relationship with money has to be positive. Your belief in yourself has to be so strong that you will not stop chasing success. And your commitment to success has to be a continual process that you stay focused on for the rest of your life. And if you do those 3 things, you will win, you will have success, you will achieve financial freedom. Maybe not in 1 year, maybe not in 5 years. It might take decades to get to that end result that you want to be at, but you will accomplish it because those 3 things have changed about you.
Yep, you'll see progress.
You'll see progress. Well, Bob, I feel like we have dug the biggest pond that we can dig and filled it with as much content and insight and conversation as we possibly can around these financial concepts here in the last few months. And I think we have laid an incredible foundation for folks who want to deep dive into the concepts, the strategies, the tactics, the mindsets that it takes to be successful with our money and to achieve financial goals and our dreams. And we get to kind of jump into some more detailed questions and strategies probably as we get closer to the end of the year and into 2026, that are going to give just some very practical insights too. So I'm excited to bring this conversation to the forefront as well. Is there anything else that you want to leave folks with tonight before we wrap up this episode?
I'm just stuck with the mindset of money. Instead of
Mindset.
instead of it's the heart of money, but we are the mindset of money on the heart of money, and the steps to success. And like you said, it's not a sprint; it's a marathon. And whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. And it's your money. You made it. You tell it where to go. Are all aspects of what we've talked about tonight that are great takeaways from this conversation.
Absolutely. The heart of money is your mindset around money. That's where it all starts and probably where it all ends when it comes down to it. So, folks, thank you so much for being tuned in, for being a part of this conversation. Please leave us a review, drop us a like, visit us on Facebook, on Instagram, check out the website freedommoneycoach.com for some great resources, and we will see you again next time on The Heart of Money.